This is Quinlan, and I have some really bad news. My favorite volcano, the one that towers over Morioka, that I look at first when I get out of bed every morning, the one that I have now to this day hiked 106 times, is at risk of eruption. They released an emergency announcement on all of our phones. It came over the emergency alert system at 3 o'clock this afternoon, saying that everyone on the mountain had to evacuate immediately, that they had raised the risk of volcanic eruption from level 1 to level 2. And they're closing all the trails. The staff at the 8th Station Hut are also evacuated. They did also add that this is not a risk for people living in the cities that surround Mount Iwate. The eruption isn't likely to be large enough to impact people down in the city, just hikers. So it's not like you shouldn't come and visit Morioka. It's likely to be a steam eruption, which would be dangerous if you're walking right there on the trails, but nothing that's going to be a danger for you just to visit the area. Just to be clear, I've made a lot of videos on Mount Iwate, probably more than 10. So on the other hand, maybe it's good news for people who are tired of seeing me release another video set on Mount Iwate, as I won't be able to do that for several years. So if you could join with me and take a look at some of these images that I've taken over the last 4 years that show why this mountain, this volcano, is so special, then I hope you can share some of my feelings and the fact that I won't be able to do it for the foreseeable future. Some of the areas that I love most on Mount Iwate are, of course, the Demon's Castle, that glorious ridge that looks like something that people don't even realize exists in Japan. Another is Ojigokudani, Hell Valley. This is the area that's actually likely to erupt. They're saying that this is the place that is likely to see a steam explosion. There is actually active sulfur vents, and it's generally steaming right there, and so it does look like an active volcano when you look at these places, though they are some of my favorite spots there. And of course, the summit area, which is not really at risk of any eruption now. That part isn't so active, but it's close enough that they're shutting it down as well. This summit has 2 sets of 33 Kannon Bosatsu, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, so more than 66 stone statues lining the old caldera there. Unlike a lot of mountains, these statues weren't taken out and destroyed during the suppression of Buddhism in the early 1870s. They remain. It's said that Mount Iwate was first designated as a sacred mountain by Sakanaue Tamuramaro, that great shogun, perhaps one of the first to be called that, when he was sent up in the early 800s to subjugate the Emishi, those indigenous peoples who lived up here and refused to join the burgeoning Yamato Japanese Empire. He was so moved by it that he declared it, as well as a couple other mountains up here, sacred, and established its mountain worship. The summit of Mount Iwate is actually called Yakushidake, named after the medicine Buddha. And the Yamabushi, those ascetic mountain monks, have been climbing up it as pilgrims and worshiping for hundreds and hundreds of years. Mount Iwate erupted in dramatic fashion in 1732 from 2 locations, not near the summit, but rather about 2/3 of the way up, facing Hachimantai, and it was mostly a lava eruption, which formed this enormous lava field known as the Yakihashiri Yoganryu lava field. And you can still visit that. In fact, on a sort of volcano tour that I can still conduct, because it's not on Mount Iwate itself, I take people through that and a number of other locations. Then there was a really small, lesser known eruption around, I believe it was 1918-ish, from the Ojigokudani, that great Hell Valley, which is the location that it's likely to erupt from again any day now, perhaps, right? And that eruption was not even noticeable by the people in Morioka. It was just people who were at the nearby lodges that saw the poof of steam going up and recorded it. That little caldera is actually visible from above, and I've showed it in one previous video. You can see it here. It's just a little pool of bright blue sulfuric water that's still boiling hot. We'll see, maybe it'll erupt from right there again. There are 6 main trails, depending on how you count them, going up Mount Iwate. And my favorites are the ones that go along the ridge walk, or through this Hell Valley, which is now most dangerous, or past Kurokuro, also in danger of erupting. But they're all pretty fantastic. And specifically, Uwabo and Omisaka were known as old pilgrimage routes, and they have names reflecting this, and some trail markers dating back hundreds of years. I could go on and on about Mount Iwate, but I think I need to go mourn its loss, though I guess it's not permanent. Just another reminder, as Buddhism would have you remember, that everything is transitory. Everything's temporary. Nothing lasts. And this ban, this volcanic activity, it too is temporary. Hopefully temporary enough that I'll get to hike it again before I get too much older. I was lucky enough just the day before yesterday, as I said, to take a really strong hiker guest from the States up there on a tour of one of my favorite routes. And we had a fantastic time, and I hope in a few years I can take more of you. That said, there are still other mountains that are gorgeous and much easier. Even if it weren't closed, to be honest, Mount Iwate is a very challenging hike, and so I was only taking the really strong, experienced hikers up there. There are a lot of other mountains that are better for casual hikers who aren't looking for pretty serious workout. And so don't worry, there are still lots of other volcanoes, alpine wetlands, even other ridge walks that we can enjoy in Iwate, Akita, this whole northern Japan region, if you come up to my base in Morioka for a tour of what I consider the most beautiful places. In fact, right now I'm working more on guiding this coast right here. I'm standing here in Tanohata village, and this is of course the Kita-Yamazaki Cape, and the tour that I'm helping with a few others to design and promote is a 7-day experience along the Sanriku Fuko National Park along the coast here. But that's a topic for another video. I just want to say that so that you know that even though Mount Iwate is closed off to us for the time being, there are still abundant reasons to come check out the hidden gems of North Japan up here in Tohoku, Iwate, Akita, Aomori prefectures. I hope you'd enjoyed this little remembrance as I'm here being with my feelings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the trails.